Hey there, I'm Mish. I'm a Trekkie, and welcome to A Year of Trek. Today, in A Year of Trek, we're going to cover two episodes, Devil in the Dark and Errand of Mercy. So I have to start out. I feel like an idiot, like a complete idiot. Like I have spent most of my life as a Star Trek fan. Um, I can remember the dumbest things. Like my mom always wondered why could I get bad grades in school, yet know everything there was to know about the Enterprise. Like she couldn't get it. Like you can't. It's just she used to say it's like memorization. Well, the Enterprise interested me. World history did not. Now, world history, actually, as I've gotten older, I appreciate world history. And I wish that people would also appreciate it more because then they would see that it has happened before, it will happen again, as said in BSG. That like stuff that's going on now has happened before. People just don't know their history. Maybe they just weren't that interested when they were freshmen in high school with a really bad, very uninspiring teacher. Anyway, so back to me being an idiot. So yesterday I was like, oh, okay, here's this episode and here's this episode. And I totally thought that Devil in the Dark was a completely different episode. Like I had thought that it was really Wolf in the Fold, the one with Scotty and being being accused of killing people. But I was wrong. Like I was so wrong. When the episode started, I was like, I feel dumb. Like that was like a rookie mistake, total rookie mistake. So I apologize. I was an idiot. It is not Devil, or it is not Wolf in the Fold. Scotty is in the episode, but this is the episode with the Horta. Like, how did I not remember that? No kill eye. Like, how did I not know that? Anyway, so yeah, and Rob, of course, Rob didn't correct me. You're supposed to be there for me, Rob. That's okay. That's okay. He sometimes calls me out via text. So we have another watcher today. Don't know who it is. Put your name in the comments. Let me see who are you and where are you tuning in from. And feel free to chime in as I ramble on about today's episodes. So Devil in the Dark. Don't have a lot of notes on this, but there were a lot of things that kind of popped out to me. So it is currently stardate 3196.1. Basically, they've gone to this one mining station because there's a monster, and of course, you know, the big evil people from the Federation are going to come and help. So I found it funny when they were like, well, can you, like, who's seen it? Like, because of course everybody who's seen it ends up dying. And this one guy who ends up kind of being a douche, he says, oh, I saw it. It's big and shaggy. I don't know why I found that funny. I just did. I just thought that was pretty funny. So we have this unknown monster that's turning people to ash, and we are and then we've got and let's see, what is it, and possibly burrowing through whatchamacallit, so or through the rock. I don't know why I can't think. I'm sorry, I'm being distracted. I have messages popping up here and there. I should turn all those off. I should have turned them off. Anyway, so this unknown monster that we know is the Horta ends up getting into and stealing a piece of machinery that keeps keeps the coolant going. And I think it's funny because, of course, on this door it says radiation. Oh, it's Harvey. Hey, Harvey, how you doing? So they've got this big thing. It says caution, radiation. All right. So I'm not messing with you outside the show. I distract you enough. Yes. Yeah, you do. That's okay. What I find funny is that there's this huge sign that says caution radiation. There's this big hole, okay, that the Horta has made, and yet they go in this area that says caution. And even though Spock is like, oh, don't touch that because there's whatever's corrosive could get on you, but they end up going into this caution radiation area in their uniforms. They're like totally like not in a radiation suit. They're just like, oh yeah, I think we're going to go in here and we're going to find this thing that, oh yeah, if we don't fix it, it's going to radiate us all. We only have hours. Okay. So they go on this hunt for this monster. Okay. So they say that they've used phasers against it and it doesn't do anything. Okay. Now, I don't know who, I think it was Gene Kuhn who actually wrote the episode. He's written the last couple where it says written and produced by. But I just thought it was kind of a humorous conversation where Kirk and Spock, and I think McCoy is there, they're talking about, okay, well, all these miners have phaser ones, which is just like the little hand thing, like this, like a phaser one, okay? And the big ones, of course, if you didn't know, the ones that look like actual pistols, those are phaser number 2s. So they're having this conversation, and he's like, oh, okay, well, we've got this, and we've got, phaser 1s, or he says they have phaser 1s, and Kirk's like, but we have phaser 2s. It's like, yeah, well, we could, and then Spock says, oh, okay, we could do that, and then we could enhance those to make them a little bit more, powerful. And then Kirk is like, but they have phaser 1s, and we have phaser 2s. And it just seems so, is so absurd. I just thought that was kind of funny. I think this is my wife texting. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Well, I guess my grandson's on the way. Not that he needs to be born. He's on the way. Somebody's dropping him off. So I may have to pause for a second if I hear knocking at the door. But my wife is also on her way home too. So now, of course, they need people to search, and all of a sudden they have like a row of 6 red shirts. They have 6 security guys, and one of them is named Joto, and in my notes I just spelled it J-O-T-O, but it's actually G-I-O-T-T-O is actually how it's spelled. That's how it was in the credits. Giotto is, and it was weird because like Shatner pronounced his name, or at least the way I heard it, he pronounced it like 3 or 4 different times. I actually thought at one time it was Jojo, like Mojo Jojo. So they have these 6 red shirts, and I'm instantly thinking, because I've been keeping track of how many people are dying and what color shirt they're wearing, I'm thinking, oh, they're all going to die, and then the red shirts will be taking over the green or the gold shirts. But only 1 red shirt dies in this episode. So the one thing that really stuck out to me, though, as they're going through, they're just kind of walking through like this. And I'm thinking, did these people not learn muzzle control? Like, I get it. It's the 60s. And even in the 70s and early 80s, you had, that you had the cops doing this around the corner and then they jump out. And really, you didn't see true, actual trained handgun or long gun muzzle control until really the 2000s, the late, mid to late 90s, early 2000s. That's when you actually saw it on TV. But I'm just thinking, dude, oh man, muzzle control. Totally gonna get shot in the back. So then we've got so then of course one guy dies, and I think at this point Kirk and Spock have actually already encountered the Horta and shot them. Okay, so and shot it and did some damage, and it kind of scurried off. Okay. Yeah, one jump scare and you zap your buddy. And then your buddy disappears. Like he's gone. Like, unless, of course, you're on stun. Now, all of a sudden, after they shoot him, and they're looking, and this could have been before. I can't really remember. But it is after the first one dies. Now, I don't have his name. I actually wrote him down on my list as John Doe, because he doesn't have a name, even though we have been given names of other ones: Lewis, Vincent, or Vinci, and Lieutenant Osborne, and then of course Commander Giotto. So there's another scene where they have more officers. So they start off with 6 security, they lose 1, and then they add 3 more. And I'm like, they have 8. Like, is any more going to die? Like, I'm curious. I couldn't remember. How many people actually died in this. Apparently, like a bunch of the, what is it called? A bunch of the miners died, but that was before they figured it out. So now when Kirk encounters the Horta, and he's like pointing his phaser at him, and the Horta's kind of like backing off and forth, and they going back and forth, and then Spock comes over, and then the Horta tries to go to him, and you have this scene of just Kirk, and Kirk is holding his phaser, and he's got nothing in his left hand. And then you have the shot of the Horta and Spock, and kind of the backside. You get kind of like this back view of Shatner, and you can tell he's got his phaser in his hand, but he's got his communicator open in his left hand. And this scene is cut back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Maybe not that many times, but they do. They go back and forth, back and forth. And every time they go to Shatner, he does not have something in he doesn't have anything in his left hand. He's got his phaser in his right hand. But when they go to the wide shot, he's got his communicator in his left hand, and his right hand is hidden, but it just the way the hand is arced, you can tell there's something in his hand. So I was like, bad editing. Now, on a completely different note, just for what is it? Trivia sake, I believe this was the episode that occurred when Shatner's father died, and so he was not there for some of the filming. And then when he was able to come back, they shot basically all the episodes or all the scenes with just him. So the guy sitting there with the communicator open in his left hand and the phaser, that actually could be a stand-in. Because we don't actually see his face, we just see the back of his head. So, and then we get the doctor. I'm a doctor, not a bricklayer. I think this is the first time that we get the "I'm a doctor, not a ... And then the other thing I noticed about McCoy is he's wearing a pinky ring. Now I know he's worn it, like, you know, over the years you see him wearing a pinky ring. I just don't remember seeing it in the last 20 some episodes. So I don't know. I might maybe rewatching some of the previous episodes. I'll keep my eye out for it. Yeah. Yeah, Rob, he thinks that's the same thing that when it starts is I'm a doctor. I'm a doctor, not a blah, blah, blah. And just like the thing we heard Bones just for the first time, just a few episodes ago. So not a bad episode. I mean, we find out that the Horda is killing people because essentially she's, you know, protecting her young, and that makes total sense. Totally get it. Not sure why the miners were being so like close-minded, or not that had not occurred to them. But then again, it really only occurred to Spock, that he was the one kind of piecing everything together. And even though, you know, we've all seen the episode before, you can kind of tell that Spock is putting all that stuff together early on. So not a bad episode. I like the episode. I feel like an idiot for not being able to remember that Devil in the Dark is the Horda episode. Okay. On to Errand and Bursing. This is Stardate 3198.4, which, going by Stardates, it's almost like they leave the mining station, and they and they go right into the Klingon thing. I mean, it happens like right there, just maybe a couple days later. So this is the first time that we've ever heard of the Klingons, that we've ever seen the Klingons. They're kind of fighting. It's basically this premise that they're fighting over this one planet. And I had a question. I tried to pay attention, and I didn't catch anything. So, of course, this planet is, before we know who the people actually are, the Organians, this planet has a pre-warp civilization. So why are we getting involved? Like, I know we're getting involved. You know, we know the Klingons are going to come in, and it's really the planet, sits within the Federation, or it sits like right on the border of the Federation, blah, blah, blah. So I get that whole political side. But this is still a pre-warp civilization, and they just beam down in the middle, just like in the middle of the town, like they do this every day. Was something established earlier that they've been here before, like somebody had influenced them before, and so it was okay to do that? So, I mean, and really the Prime Directive doesn't count, really, because like the Organians are like super evolved compared to humans. We find out that towards the end. Okay, so I think we threw out the Prime Directive simply because of the location near the Klingon border, and that's totally possible. And I was thinking that maybe that's probably what it is, because Kirk goes in there and he's like, come with us, be on our side. We're going to give you this and we're going to give you that, and we can support you and all this kind of stuff. But I like the dude's response. He says, so you give us a choice of dealing with you or dealing with your enemy. Now, and of course, Kirk is like, well, yeah, but we'll give you rights and support. They'll just put you in prison. So it's really, like if I was an alien race and we have these aliens, or if I'm this, like on Earth, and we have these aliens beam down and say, oh, hey, by the way, you don't want to deal with the other guys because they're the bad guys and we're the good guys. Well, how the hell do we know that you're the good guys? Like I totally get it. It's like, okay, well, if you're giving us a choice, let's meet both of you guys, you know? And of course, the Organians, they have all these powers, so they don't really need that. But the guy made a valid point. It's like, we don't know who the hell you are, and you're telling us that we're either going to we're going to deal with you or your enemy. So, thought that was a valid point. Good point. And then of course we meet Core. Love Core. So, I don't know how this episode would go over if it was produced today. I'm sure that they would actually, they'd have better makeup, of course. But I wonder if the woke folk have an issue with a bunch of white guys with shoe polish on their face to make the bad guy. Just another thought that goes through my head. And another thing that I didn't notice until today, and it's kind of one of those that it was like, oh, why didn't I see that before? Do you realize that Kirk, to hide him and Spock from the Klingons, they put them in Organian clothing. But Kirk is still wearing gold, and Spock is still wearing blue. So you still have that command and sciences represented, even though they're in Organian clothing. Didn't really realize that until today. I was like, hey, wait a minute. That's kind of cool. Yeah, it's one of those, I was this old when I realized. Yeah, totally. I was this old when I realized that they're still wearing their uniforms, just in a different Organian thing. Yeah. So, okay, now Core, this is, I wrote that, okay, so the whole shoe polish thing, Core, is it Core or is it Baltar with a dirty face? That's the other thing I wrote. I just wrote it under the wrong note. But I did find that Kirk's funny response was, go climb a tree. When he's told to you should do this and follow the rules, and Kirk's like, go climb a tree. That's like, that is totally the 60s. We are totally in the 60s because, yeah, it's almost like it's almost absurd, kind of like in Back to the Future, where he's like, make like a tree and get out of here. I don't know. I just thought that was funny. Oh, and then what I realized, and I don't know if anybody realized this as well, and I didn't see it until it was the night scene where Kirk and Spock are let's see, they've been, what is it? Were they released? No. Shoot. Oh, this is when they're actually going to go. They're going into to Core's thing to capture him. Okay. And because they've been released from prison from the Organian dude, and then he they're like, okay, well, we're just going to go in. We're going to capture Core and then do this and this and this. So I didn't notice this until it was nighttime, and they're sitting. No, it wasn't the sabotage scene. It was later on. It was later on in the episode, because they sabotaged And then they were caught and they were put in jail. And then the Organian dude lets them out. And so they were like, okay. And then they come back and they get their phasers and communicators, and then they go back to the I'm guessing it's the castle that they see on the edge. But in the scene, they're outside this scene, and there's the stairs, and you've got the little opening, and they can go off. And then over here, you've got like the little arc. So I'm thinking just the stairs and the area where you can go off to the left, and there's that little opening that you can fall down on. I think that's the set from The Cage, where what's his name, where Pike and the blonde gal encounter the big giant, and that he stabs the guy and throws the spear and gets the guy stabbed in the back. Because they fight their ways up the stairs, and then they go around, and then Pike is thrown off, and then he throws the spear up, and then the guy falls and onto another spear. And then Vina is still up there. I think that that's the same set. I mean, I know that they reuse sets, but it didn't click on me or click to me that was the same. Yeah. Yeah, do. I think that's the same. I think, and of course we kind of see it during the day, kind of, but we really get a good shot of it at night. So, and of course the stairs, all that, during The Cage, or even the Menagerie, that's all we see it during the day. So, let's see what else. I don't have any more notes on that. So, of course, we find out the Organians, they have all these powers and they're super evolved, and they're just not going to let them fight. So we have to make peace. I thought it was funny, the comments that were made, and I wish I had written them down. I kind of attributed it to what is it, the other episode we just watched the other day. Let me find my notes. A Taste of Armageddon. Okay, so it's like Kirk wanted war in this episode, and the Organians were basically stopping them from having war, kind of like Kirk stopping the Taste of Armageddon dudes, whatever race they were, from having war. And they wanted war, at least play war. They didn't want real war. I don't know. I just that in my head, I just kind of made that correlation that it was one, or it was similar. So I don't know if they're trying. I don't know if it was intended to make you think and make you kind of point those out, but I don't know. That's just my thoughts. Okay, so that is all that we have for today. Can't think of anything else. Of course, I didn't write down any. Okay. The board, the Souls board. Now, I do have to make a change because we lost back in Space Seed. We haven't updated this for a little bit. So back in Space Seed, we lost Lieutenant McIvers. So it goes from 430 to 429. There you go. Oh, there we go. I actually got to get this thing posted on the wall. And then we lost a red shirt today. So this is actually going to be 200 or 428 souls. So now we are back down to 428 souls until it gets replenished. And there is a parallel there. This is going back to those two episodes that Rob is responding to. And there's another thing I've been doing, just to kind of let you guys know. I've been keeping notes, and I'm sure other people have kept notes, but I can't find them. So I have been keeping track of everyone who dies, their names, colored shirt. You guys know that. I have also, because, and I don't know why I'm helping on my desk, because I wrote this book. So Rob knows this. He knows I wrote this book. But I'm also keeping track of every time and all the episodes where the neck pinch is used. So not to great detail. I don't go, oh, it was this scene or that scene, doing timestamps, which now that I think about it, I probably should. But so far, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's only been used 9 times in 9 episodes. Well, twice in Tomorrow is Yesterday, but so that would make it 8 times, 10 times, but only in 9 episodes. So, but yeah, I should probably timestamp that. That might be a good one. I got to go back. Oh well, it is what it is. Okay, so that is all we have for today. What is there tomorrow? Tomorrow, and let me cross these off. Mercy. Tomorrow we have the alternative factor and the greatest Star Trek episode. And I don't know. I think that there are greater Star Trek episodes, but I think this is the one. This one has there could be a lot done with this. City on the Edge of Forever. See, the alternative factor, that can go down as one of the worst Star Trek episodes. And City on the Edge of Forever could be one of the best. So we get to watch those for tomorrow. We'll be talking about those tomorrow. Probably at 8 p.m. Pacific. I'd like to try and get it done earlier. I don't know. The only reason I was able to go earlier today was because students called out for class today. So I was like, shoot, I'll just go on early. Yes, you're right. The alternative factor, that's the one that had all the negative effects, and it was parallel universe stuff. And yeah, they did a much better parallel universe stuff episode with Mirror. But yes, it's that episode. So if it's not earlier, it'll be at 8 p.m. Just check. I'll let people know. But anyway, looking forward to that tomorrow, because City on the Edge of Forever is an awesome episode. One of my personal favorites. And the story behind the story is even more amazing. But we will get to that tomorrow. So until then, have fun watching Star Trek and live long and prosper. I will see you all in tomorrow's episode.